Joining me now with more on the NAFTA summit is Jorge Benitez, a senior fellow with the Brent Scowcroft Center on International Security. Welcome to the broadcast. They used to call them the three amigos. You know, these three presidents, they all seem to get along pretty well. But there are tensions that have developed between these countries in recent years. I guess Mexico and Canada over some tourism issues. The United States and Canada have their problems with the Keystone Pipeline. So when these three get together, what's likely to be discussed, and is there a way to kind of reach some agreements on some of these sticking points?
Well, I think you could say that 20 years ago, the three amigos got married, and that's what NAFTA was. They've joined one family, and as with any families, there are some issues that there's friction between them, like the ones that you pointed out. But overall, the marriage has turned out very beneficial for each of the parties. And what they're going to do in this meeting in Toluca this today is they're sort of celebrating the 20 years of prosperity that's come from the agreement, and then sort of set the stage for dealing with some of the problems and how can they address them better in the future.
There's been some who've been critical that while it's been a great agreement in many respects, that no one's really had like a strategic vision of how to make this thing go further. Would you agree with that argument?
I don't agree, because I think that at a time that it was created, NAFTA was the cutting edge of trade agreements. It's 20 years old now, and after so many decades, there have been changes in the North American economies, in trade agreements, and also in technology. So there are things that need to be fine-tuned to make it better. There are things that exist now that didn't exist then. But I think overall, they're trying to address these things, and particularly, they're trying to link it to the new negotiations for TPP.
There was a lot of arguments here in this country. Unions were very much against NAFTA and protested. So if you were to look at the landscape over the 20 years, what have been the significant developments, the pluses, and have there been some minuses?
There have definitely been minuses. Overall, the best way to examine this is NAFTA has created a larger economic pie for all of the parties concerned. The trade in North America in 1993 was about $290 billion. Now it's over $1 trillion a year between the three countries. So trade has quadrupled. The economies of North America have more than doubled in size since they were then. So the pie has definitely gotten bigger. But in making the pie bigger, the slices of the pie for certain sectors of the economy and of the population became smaller. So you kind of have to deal with the instability of, as everyone gets a bigger piece of the pie, how do you deal with those that were a little bit shifted out? And those transition costs were the challenges that we're talking about.
So when you talk about the pie and slicing it up, who's benefited the most? Who's been hurt by it?
Well, the consumers have very much benefited the most, because thanks to NAFTA, trade has made all of the three economies much more competitive. So each of the resources in Mexico and the United States and Canada are being much more efficient and producing better. But in doing that, certain sectors such as the Mexican farmers, they're just not as efficient and competitive as the American farmers. So a lot of the Mexican farmers have been shifted to other parts of the economy there. And in a way that's considered a negative, because they lost the original jobs, but it was always in the interest of Mexico to put those workers in much more competitive and much more efficient fields of their economy.
Jorge Benitez, thank you so much for your analysis. Appreciate it.